This is a 2013 3320 John Deere. And I'm getting ready for the first time to do a hydraulic change, fluid, and which is a hydraulic and a transmission. This is a field back here on the back, and you want to take a brush and brush a lot of any dirt, debris that's around, because you don't want it going down in there and getting into the hydraulic system. And underneath here, right in front of the fender, is that's your hydraulic filter right there, where that cap just turns off. Then there's a plug over there, so it doesn't look like it'd be too hard to get to. Holds actually about just a little under 7 gallons. So you want to make sure you got a big enough container to hold it all, or you'll have a major mess. I'm going to use a large pair of pliers that I'm hoping to get this cap off with, because my normal wrench, oil wrench, not near big enough. But you take the cap off after you drain it, so all the fluid don't run out on you. Also, I end up buying my parts online through Get Top Auto Parts, and I bought the whole entire thing: oil filter, gas filter, air breather cleaner, everything. It was like about $125, somewhere around there, for all of it. If I would have just bought this filter here for the hydraulic, it was like $70, $75 by itself. So buying the whole entire package for this is definitely a lot cheaper. I know I checked at John Deere, and for the fluid and for the this filter was almost $300. You also want to drive your tractor somewhat and get your hydraulic fluid warmed up so that it flows out better and gets more of the dirt or whatever might be in it. And then once you get ready, turn it off, park it, put your hydraulics down where there's no pressure. I work this lever back here a little bit to make sure the pressure is released out of this hydraulic system. Same way with this front loader, move it left and right, back and forth. And I do that a few times so that it takes the pressure off the hydraulic and it helps bleed it down faster. Well, one good thing I can say is I don't have to get underneath this. I can just be right outside by the wheel and get this drain plug out without crawling underneath here. That sure is a plus. You can see a major difference in the flow. It's flowing out 2 times more by taking that back cap off and allowing the air to get down through it. So I take this off. This is where you're going to fill it up at. And it coming out 2 to 3 times faster. That's not bad, but a lot more in there than I even expected. This just slides out of here. Way more than I expected. Then you just get your other filler and it just slides back in there, and then you put your cap back on. One thing is, I just got this new hydraulic filter out, and it doesn't have a spare gasket that you can seize on the back of that other on that one. So I got no choice but to use the old one, but you want to make sure you got a little bit of oil around it so it seals a little better. But this one does not have any. You can also see the difference in the color. Of course, the other one's oil soaked, but I actually see some pieces of metal around it on the old one. You just want to tighten this stuff up snug, or a little more than snug, and then wipe everything off so there's nothing dripping. So when you fill it up, start your motor, check 2 or 3 different times to make sure you see nothing dripping, in case you have to tighten it up a little bit more. Now this is the first time that I have changed this hydraulic transmission fluid. And when I look on this top, just where this went in, all kinds of little specks of metal. But here you can see a pretty good long coil. And when I look at the filter and turn it around, I can see lots of little pieces of fine metal, which is expected in the beginning, but it's a good reason for changing it. Another thing, when you're pouring this oil, this probably weighs about 40 plus pounds, this container, and it's big and awkward. But if you don't have a few of these little holes in here, I put 3 in there, it lets air in there and it pours out real well. If you don't have that, it kind of plugs up and makes a big gulp, and then a whole bunch comes out, and then it stops and a whole bunch comes out. And this here helps make one steady flow by having these holes, air holes in there. Another thing that many may not think about, these containers are stacked up on top of each other. A lot of times have grit, dirt, little pieces of debris, especially down in here and around the edges. So you want to wipe these top of these containers off so you don't get that stuff down in your hydraulic system. A few of them I seen look fairly clean, and some of them were very dirty. Then after I think I'm getting about pretty close on this, I checked the dipstick right here to see about where it's at, so I know how much more, general idea how much more to put in, because you don't want to overfill it. It's better to be a hair under than too much over, and you'd hate to have to try to drain some. But this is kind of a pain to lift a big container like that up over here. But when you got it close or halfway up, you want to drive this a little bit, not far, run your hydraulics and extend them up and down. Your 3-point, raise it up and down. Your buck and your arms, I stretched them all the way out, back down, and then drove it back and forth just a little and checked. And it was about halfway up on the dipstick, so I added more. And then when I got real close, I went through the process again. I drove the tractor a little farther down, raised up the hydraulics, probably checked fluid here at least 10 times. In the next few days I'll be checking it quite often just to be sure.